becomes law, the better for the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Andrew Williams. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take a call on behalf of New Zealand First for the third reading of the Taxation Annual Rates, Returns, Filing and Remedial Matters Bill. And Mr. Speaker, as I have said in the House in two of the previous readings, perhaps we would not be tinkering around the edges with these. Perhaps we wouldn't be tinkering around the edges with these tax matters had the national government not provided the several billions of dollars of tax deductions and reductions to the wealthy individuals in this country 2 years ago. The very wealthy individuals like the head of Telecom who got $5,000 a week back in his pay packet in tax reductions. The Prime Minister who got $1,000 a week back in tax reductions a couple of years ago. Many other very well-heeled individuals in New Zealand who got many thousands of dollars per week back in their from their PAYE in terms of national giving the incentives to their mates. So as a result of giving those billions of dollars away 2 years ago, and we continue to feel the pinch across New Zealand in many areas, the government now, of course, is having to look at every last cent in the tax take to try and balance the books, including, as we saw just a few months ago, pickpocketing the young schoolboys and schoolgirls of this country delivering newspapers and leaflets to get $14 million in tax revenue back from those young children in order to try and cover their other imbalances. But, Mr. Speaker, this bill is more than just about some of those tinkering of the taxes. The main thing I see in this is actually a concession from the government that they were wrong on the KiwiSaver scheme. That 2 years ago, when they reduced employer contributions from 4% to 2%, they are now admitting that that was a huge error on their part. This bill moves those employer contributions back up to 3%, not all the way back to where they were several years ago, but it is a big improvement to get them back up to 3%. And I was just looking at some comparisons today, and I note that in Australia, employer contributions are 9%. And we do wonder at times, why are they doing so much better in Australia? Why are they saving far more money in Australia? Why are people generally better off in Australia? Why are those who retire in Australia on a higher average standard of living and seem to be that much more comfortable? Well, they are. They certainly are, and that's why more New Zealanders are going to Australia as well to try and get on to the Australian bandwagon. And you can understand why, when the Australian government sees fit to have their laws such that employers contribute 9% to their scheme, while this government 2 years ago was so miserable to reduce our employers back from 4% to 2%. And again, what did they do that for? They did it to help out their mates. There would have been pressure from Business New Zealand, their old mates at Business New Zealand, at the Chambers of Commerce, at EMA, all their usual mates would have said, "Oh, we need some help here, guys. We helped get you into government. We helped put you into the Treasury benches. We helped put you there. We helped give you the BMW limousines. So it's time for you to give us something back." So they did. So 2 years ago, they gave those employers the opportunity to reduce their contributions to the future of New Zealanders' savings from 4% to 2%, and now they admit in this House today, and the third reading finally confirms that, they admit that they were wrong and that it is going to go back up to 3%. Not all the way, because the National can never, ever admit that they're fully wrong, but they have to admit and concede in this case they got it wrong on that occasion. So that was a known goal in terms of that. But other aspects of this bill include changing the tax deductions in terms of software that goes wrong. And I guess they're probably doing that for their mates as well, Mr. Speaker, because there's bound to be people such as .com and Hollywood people and all sorts of people that will benefit again. That if they invest in software and software is very much part of the IT economy, and many of which are involved in Hollywood movies and doing things in terms of mega uploading and all sorts of other things. I'm sure again they'll be helping their mates to ensure that if something goes wrong with their software, it'll be tax deductible. It'll be tax deductible, and so they won't have to go down. So again, I guess somebody in that industry has got into the Prime Minister's ear or Bill English's ear or somebody's ear and said, hey, give us a hand. You know, you helped the employers 2 years ago when you knocked back the KiwiSaver employer contributions. How about giving us a hand in the software industry as well? So there's nothing, and don't worry, because the paper boys and the paper girls of this country have helped with their $14 million to help subsidise those IT companies to do that. But, Mr. Speaker, there are lots of other little things in this bill that basically don't mean a lot. Things such as conferring charitable status on a few charities. Well, that's great, but again, it's just tinkering around the edges. It prevents liquidators and receivers from switching the basis on which they account for clients' GST obligations. And it also means that things like working for families entitlements are removed from having to file a tax return. And it also requires taxpayers who choose to file a tax return to file in all the 4 previous years, that they can't just cherry pick the particular years when they want a tax rebate and not other years where they are owing tax. So, Mr. Speaker, New Zealand First will support this bill because in the main there are things in this that are required to help sort out our tax system. It doesn't go far enough. We still do believe, New Zealand First, that our whole tax system does need a complete review, and it does need an overhaul. And it needs an overhaul in terms of what it will benefit all New Zealanders, every one of us, not just the mates of the national government. So New Zealand First will be supporting this bill in this third reading.
Honourable Nick Smith.